and Other Offences Act, persons convicted for certain crimes can face a death sentence. So crimes like murder, war crimes, crimes against humanity are all in this list. The Ghana Armed Forces Act also allows for the use of the death penalty in cases of treason and mutiny by military personnel in times of war. In 1993, following the country's return to civilian rule, 12 persons were executed under the death sentence. But since then, there are no records of any execution having taken place. In fact, between 2003 and 2007, President Kufuor commuted the sentences of 215 persons on death row to life imprisonment. President Mahama, on his part between 2013 and 2015, commuted 68 persons on the death row to life imprisonment. Currently, about 168 persons are on the death row. Ghana is now considered as one of the 42 states by the UN as abolitionist in practice. But though we no longer practice it, it is still in the law books. Several human rights groups like the UN and Amnesty International have championed for the existence of this sentence to be expunged from the law books. In 2010, the Constitutional Review Commission, inaugurated by President Atamios, recommended that this particular law should be expunged from the domestic legislation. Recently, a private member's bill sponsored by the MP for Medina, Francis Xavier Sosu, called for this law to be re-looked at and removed if possible. On the round table today, we will discuss the death penalty, what it means for its continuous stay in the laws of Ghana, and why campaigners want it removed so badly. I'll be joined in the discussion by Joseph Wemakor, Executive Director of Human Rights Reporters, Ghana. Welcome, Joseph.
Thank you very much. And good morning to all your listeners and viewers out there.
Thank you very much. Welcome. If you are just joining in the discussion, you can join us via GBC News, GTV, and we are also on Facebook at Ghana Broadcasting Corporation. We'll go straight to the discussion. Joseph, abolitionists in practice, we are one of the states that the UN calls that name. What does it mean to our country, and what does it even mean to be put in that list?
So it means we have signed on to these international human rights conventions, treaties and all that. We were first to have done that ahead of other countries. But still, we have not struck out let's just say, we have not struck out death penalty from our statutes. Let me put it that way.
So what are the challenges with its continuous existence in our law books? Because we are not practicing it anyway. Why do we need to get it out?
Why do we need to get it out? Okay, so it has proven to be ineffective and flawed tool of justice.
Okay.
People are using it as a discriminatory tool for justice, or there were biases which goes contrary to human rights, yes, protection of human rights and promotion of justice. So there is an urgent need for us to have it struck out, to be taken off our statutes, from our law books. We need to strike. So death penalty in itself, we know, is the highest form of punishment that can be given to anyone who commits serious crime, like murder, treason, war crime, genocide, smuggling. You know, these are the things that attract death penalty. And the world over, it's touted as a very controversial punishment. And there are debates that from both sides that it should be used, or it should be used. Some say that no, we are in a modern society, so there's no need to make use of it. But then our criminal code, this is the term that I want to use. Our criminal code 1960 is still in force. But fortunately and unfortunately, successive governments couldn't sign death warrant since 1993.
Okay.
So it means it is still in our law books.
Okay.
Who knows? Maybe another president might come, or the current president might have a change of mind, which it means that it will go against someone. So the growing calls globally that death penalty should be abolished should take us, and that is what we are all campaigning for or advocating for, so that we can be struck out, because we don't need it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. We'll also be joined online by Ibrahim Al-Hassan, a journalist from EIB Network. Joseph, we'll go to Ibrahim shortly, but you said that the death penalty is used as an excuse to deny people justice.
Okay.
What about those who say that an eye for an eye? Somebody has killed, the person should be killed to bring peace and to bring...
Okay, so in the first place, this is a violation of human rights.
Okay.
Remember, the right to life is being violated.
Okay.
Now, I don't really agree to those people saying that somebody has killed and therefore the person should also be killed.
Okay.
An eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth. It doesn't work like that. Assuming I kill someone and they kill me, does that bring the person who is killed's life back? And this has proven to be irreversible, because, and we know that in so many instances where the justice system has not been fair, there were mistakes in several cases. And later on, the people that were convicted were exonerated. In that case, if you had taken that person's life, is there any way you can bring it back for such a mistake? There are loopholes in our judicial or legal system. Police, on several cases, have made mistake with trial cases. Some have, taken money, soiled their hands, and most prisoners or people who fall foul of the law, they don't have access to legal representation, effective legal representation. And this has caused a whole lot of mess in the system. And people are being killed, convicted wrongly. And we don't need to take lives. In the first place, you are a human. It is only God who judges. As a human being, why must you judge the other person? Why must it be you taking the life of somebody because the person has done anything wrong?
To serve as deterrent to others.
It doesn't work. Deterrent to others. And this has proven to be something which is not deterrent, as we call it. The application of death penalty in itself did not show that kind of deterrent in terms of deterring people from committing a crime. Why am I saying this? In other countries, crime rate has reduced, because even after abolishing it, crime rates have reduced drastically. Why is it that they are thinking that it's going to increase? So we can compare, see countries that have done that already, and it has proven, research has proven to that. So therefore, I would dispute that kind of thoughts.
Okay, let's go to the prisons. We already know how our prison systems are in Ghana. Obviously, they are not supposed to feel comfortable, but we know how crowded the place is and the kind of situations they live in. Comparing a normal prisoner to somebody on the death row, take us through the conditions these persons live in.
Okay, so first of all, I might say that it's unfortunate. We condemn the life in the prisons, the way prisoners are treated, the overcrowding environment that they live in. In fact, when you visit the Nsaon prison, some of them are packed like sardines. And in itself is a human rights violation. So looking at that, it is not good. So your question is wanted to suggest what?
That those on death row, how difficult is their situations compared to other prisoners?
Well, it is difficult because living in such a place, the thought alone, because your life is not guaranteed. You don't know how it will end. The fear of the unknown. And during my course of work, I've spoken to some prisoners who shared light on some of the dark moments that they go through, the anguish, the uncertainties, the fear. And, you are just there and they told you that you are going to be executed and then they will kill you. Is it going to be a firing squad? Is it going to be hanging? My dear sister, it's a terrible experience that nobody would like to go through. So in that case alone, if you compare that with people who are convicted for other cases apart from the death row, you will see that there's a vast difference. You understand? Because of the life over there. And one thing we know is that they are kept in dark rooms where you cannot even see light. That alone is a gross abuse of human rights. Flagrant abuse of human rights. How can you?
We'll come to you shortly. Ibrahim is on the line. Ibrahim, if you can hear us, how was your day so far? It's morning, I know. Hello, Ibrahim. Hello, Ibrahim. Are you on the phone, please? Hello?
Hello.
Hello, how are you, Ibrahim?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yes, if you've been following the discussion, we are discussing the death penalty. You remember that since 1993, we haven't actually executed any person convicted under this law. And I also know that there was a report by a constitutional review committee that recommended that this particular law should be expunged. Why do you think that it's so difficult for government to actually take it out from the law books?
Well, so this discussion has been going on for a while, to be honest with you. Practically in Ghana, since 1993, nobody on death row has been executed. And what I mean is that the late President Rawlings was the last president to have their willpower to sign off the execution of anybody who had been put on death row or has been sentenced there. So practically in Ghana, for more than 30 years, we've not been able to practicalize the death penalty. Elsewhere in the world, many countries have decided to remove death penalty or capital punishment from their statute books. And the reason is simple. Of course, the death penalty is born out of the law of Moses, so to speak. An eye for an eye. You take a life to pay with a life. But over the years, human rights activists have argued that that is not enough punishment. So if you are alive, you are of much use to society, whether you are incarcerated or not, than being killed. Others have equally argued that, see, you inflict pain on the families of the victim if you take a life. What can be of enough compensation to such a family is for them to also know that you have suffered the same thing. Now, government has been thinking with the idea of getting the laws amended in Ghana, but it has not been forthcoming until, as you mentioned, the Member of Parliament for Medina, Francis Xavier Sosu, sponsored a bill under the private members' bill process, which of course was effected by the former Speaker of Parliament, Professor Aaron Michael Quay. Of course, I must say that so far we've seen a little over 4 bills go through this particular process under private sponsorship. Some have actually seen the light of day. The Road Traffic Amendment Act, I must say, Rafubara Kemko, that was the first. As we speak, if you contemplate suicide, and then you survive or you don't carry through with it, you will not be punished. As had existed that if you attempt suicide and you fail, the law will deal with you. You'll be prosecuted and incarcerated. As a result of a private member's bill sponsored by Bernard Ahiafo, and then Anyibedu. So Francis Xavier Susu is the brain behind the abolishment of the death penalty bill that's currently before Parliament. Parliament has had to suspend its consideration for further engagement because when this bill appeared in Parliament, there were disagreements. Prominent among them will be a member of Parliament for Zabela, Cletus Avoka, who argued strongly against the abolishment, and that's what is the bill seeking to achieve. Like I mentioned, since 1993, no president has been bold enough, for want of a better word, to sign off the execution of anybody on death row. So if that is the case, then its existence on the statute could serve as deterrent to criminals. So, for instance, if you want to commit murder and you are aware that if you commit murder and you are prosecuted and found guilty, the penalty will be that you are equally killed, right? Or the penalty will be the capital punishment. That could serve as deterrent enough for you to know that do not take anybody's life. But if the criminals or indigents or citizens get to know that, oh, this law has been abolished, and that the worst punishment that can happen to me if I take a life is for me to be sentenced for life imprisonment, that will not be deterrent enough. So it's because of these disagreements that caused the speaker to say that, okay, let's pause, let's consult more. But of course, I've heard the sponsor of this particular bill, Francis Xavier Susu, say that even the president is in support of this amendment that he's seeking to get carried to amendment of our Criminal Offences Act. And if that's the case, it means this bill has the buy-in of the executive. What I see happening is that even if the private member's bill doesn't succeed, we see the executive bring in such an amendment through, say, the Attorney General to ensure that the purpose of this bill is carried through. But I think, by and large, we'll still have the needed numbers in Parliament to have this bill passed for the president to attend to it. The reason why this has had to be stood down, in essence, unlike the promotion of proper human sexual rights and Ghanaian family values bill, anti-gay bill popularly called, is that one has an overwhelming support from both sides. In fact, as you are aware, when the second reading was being undertaken, the speaker asked that whoever was against the bill should stand up and then speak. No member of Parliament on the floor that day was able to stand up. So that's the difference between the anti-gay bill and the bill seeking to amend or abolish capital punishment, so to speak. So, these are the nuances on the floor, and then even outside the floor of Parliament. But suffice to say that the bill has now been stood down for further consultation, after which it will be tabled again for members of Parliament to deliberate upon it and have it passed if needed.
Ibrahim, if you look at some of the suggestions by the Medina MP on how to actually deal with this particular law, he's talking about amending the various provisions in the Criminal and Other Offences Act 29. But according to the Amnesty International, this will only lead to about 95% abolition of the death penalty. What is the difference? 95, 100%. What is the difference?
Well, if I go look clearly, you're talking about the section that ought to be amended,
yes,
and that has got to do with the capital punishment. In
sure.
fact, in essence, what the bill is seeking to do, generally, is to take capital punishment off the table. So, as we speak now, in fact, even the judges do not have a discretion.
Okay.
If you are found guilty of murder, right?
Mm-hmm.
Murder, intentional murder, the punishment is automatic. It's when you have manslaughter, right? Mm-hmm. Or sometimes you murder in self-defense, or you commit murder as a defense for a threat that might have been occasioned by somebody threatening your life or what have you. Those ones, yes, they are discretion. But when you found guilty of murder, so to speak, that is the punishment. Of course, the discretion is either by firing squad, by hanging, by lethal injection, and what have you. And of course, if you move outside our jurisdiction, as you mentioned, Amnesty International, together with other human rights groups, have been advocating that this be taken off the table. But even in the mighty USA, state by state, capital punishment is on the table. It's not just on the table, but day in, day out, month in, month out, year in, year out, individuals found guilty of murder are executed. Of course, like I mentioned, the system finds a way of making it much more easier on those who are at the receiving end, and I'm talking about those who have been found guilty of murder and then are to be executed. Sometimes the lethal injections and the content of the doses and what have you, sometimes they tell you by electric chair. The advocacy in those jurisdictions are at the level of pain that the guilty party suffers before he dies or she dies. And so it's not all about just taking those punishments off the table. I'm talking about capital punishment, but it's about the how. Yes, but suffice to say that there are many African countries all over the world that have said that no, we are better off punishing you in a cell for the rest of your life rather than subjecting you to the same treatment you subjected your victims to. The counter argument also has always been that, see, if you are not executed and you are incarcerated for life, you and I, almost together with other taxpayers, will have to pay for your existence, for your upkeep, for your feeding, for your everything. That is extra expenditure on the coffers of the nation. So if you took a life and if you found guilty of that particular offense, to the proponents of the capital punishment, yes, you deserve to go. So the money that will have been given you will be put to better use. That's the argument. But then, you and I know that even the law of Moses no longer exists in the eyes of God. God says, you undertake whatever iniquities you want to undertake. You meet me when you come before me on judgment day, and that's where I pronounce judgment on you. So even the Christian community, the Islamic community, of course, with the exception of those that believe in Sharia and implement Sharia law, which is similar to the law of Moses by many instances. Of course, that's described by the Sharia law. If you commit murder and then you are found guilty, what the punishment ought to be. If you commit armed robbery and then you are found guilty, what the punishment ought to be. But I can tell you that in Sharia law, capital punishment is actually embraced and is executed. So, back to Parliament, as you asked, the disagreements are there, but it's disagreement based on principle. Just like pro-life and then pro-abortion. Those arguments will always be there as to whether a woman has the right to terminate her pregnancy and what the law say about it, and vice versa. There are others who are for it, others against it. When it comes to capital punishment, the same. There are others who are for it, there are others who are equally against it. But suffice to say that if you look at those against the abolition or the amendments of the Criminal and Other Offences Act to take capital punishment of the people, there are many more than those against it. Oh.
Thank you very much, Ibrahim. Thank you very much for joining us. That was Ibrahim Alhassan, a journalist from EIB Network. He has been following the discussion from the floor of Parliament. He was trying to tell us basically what the mood is like in Parliament when it comes to this particular law and then the views of parliamentarians. I wanted to come to you, Joseph. If we are now saying that people who kill, we shouldn't take their eye to replace the eye of those that they have killed, then what happens to the families? Is there any kind of compensation which they should get, because assuming somebody kills the breadwinner in a family, and then you said the person should not be killed, then what happens to the victim's family?
Okay, that is a concern, but the law has not, was not crafted on that, or did not actually show something on that, or prove something on that, or there was no legal, how do I put it, legal, anything in place to support that. But then that is why I would suggest that there should be a national commission set up in place, so that they can investigate the impact of death penalty on people, the impact of death penalty, how is it affecting people and all that, so that they can come up with a recommendation and a way out. I think this is a good point that we should factor, or we should consider going forward.
And I wanted to pick your mind on the suggestions by the MP from Medina, Francis Xavier Susu. He is recommending for certain portions of the Criminal and Other Offences Act to be amended to take away the death penalty. But he says it will only abolish it by just 95%. What is the difference between the 95% and the fact that it is 100%, it's not there at all?
I think that is also a concern. Maybe he's thinking it could not be achieved in totality, because here lies the case, you are setting a benchmark for something to be achieved. Already, let's just calculate from the beginning till the end. You cannot achieve everything in totality. If you say elimination of something, it's not possible. So I think that's why he's setting that kind of benchmark, that, if it is 95%, even that at that level is high. Because even if it's a 20, is it achievable? So you set something that you can achieve, and then from there you can scale it up. So that is where the problem, I guess that's where the difficulty is.
Joseph, I'll come back to you. We have on the line Ibrahim Opon-Kwatin. He's a journalist and the executive director of Crime Check Foundation. Ibrahim, if you can hear us, how are you?
I'm fine. It appears the line is far away.
Oh, is it better now?
So it is making it very difficult for me to hear you.
Okay, we'll try and call you back briefly.
Right.
We'll try and call you back briefly. Joseph, have you actually had personal, up close contact with those on the death row?
Yes. There's one ex-convict who used to be on the death row before he got a presidential pardon. He was granted a presidential pardon.
Okay.
A 58-year-old man. Okay. And I interviewed him. He tell his story. Okay. He was committed for murder at the age of 31. And he was kept in a police custody or a cell for 8 years on remand before he was moved to another 12 years on death row, and then it was commuted to life imprisonment, also 7 years. So if you put all together, he spent 27 years in jail, and then he came out in 2020, 5th May 2020, and you listen to his experience, you'll be shocked.
Are you saying that those on the death row, their chances of getting out is very, very slim, assuming the person is not guilty of the offense but has been sentenced?
It is slim, but the point is, some people are guilty, but the majority of the people, let's just say we are talking about 4,000, 2,000 of people, 2,000 out of that 4,000 will be innocent people. Why am I saying this? Because our judicial system has flaws, it has loopholes. The trials, the police doing investigation on these cases, they always make mistakes, many of them. and people are not given legal representation, effective legal representation. So it becomes difficult for them to get justice. Most people are forced to confess. You know, the use of force is also one aspect that we should look at, which is, convicting innocent people wrongly, and they're on the death row. And this gentleman was pointing at the loophole in the legal system. Why must you spend 8 years of your time on remand? They say you have committed a crime. You were not taken to a court. You were not put before a trial, and then you are in remand for 8 years. And later when they brought you to court, it will just be, adjourned. The case has been adjourned. Then later on, they sat down, they were on it, and he was convicted on death row. And even on that, what they went through in prison was hell. There were experiences that people shared. That tells you that they were innocent. And most of the people were later on exonerated. So my point is that if after all this, death penalty has been applied, wouldn't it be that they are making a mistake? That's the point we are standing on. And another point is that Ghana has signed this thing, has been a signatory to international conventions, including the ICCPR in 1976. That's what International Covenant for Civil and political rights, ICCPR. Why is it that we still have death penalty in our document, in our law books? Why? So we should be talking about we signing something to ensure that we comply, but it is still there. If you know you cannot go by it, then why do you go and sign in the first place? Our state institutions are really failing us big time, and it is making our work very difficult, I might say, on this platform.
Okay, Joseph, we have Ibrahim back on the phone. Ibrahim, if you can hear us clearly, you've been joining the discussion throughout, and you have had personal contacts with prisoners. You've been there with them. Have you had a personal contact with somebody on the death row? Hello, Ibrahim. Hello, Ibrahim, if you can hear us. Hello. Joseph, we'll come back to Ibrahim shortly. He has been having that kind of relationship with prisoners. In fact, he has encountered a lot of people who have been in prison for years, only to be found innocent because of some intervention somewhere. And you are just telling us of somebody that you had a conversation with who was on the death row. Now, if the person is on the death row, is he entitled to legal representation?
Why not? Why not?
But do they get it?
That is where the difficulty is. This gentleman was on remand for 8 years, the one whose story I have told you, before he wrote to HRRG that, this is his situation, before he was granted that kind of a lawyer to defend him. And each time they go to court, it is being adjourned. In the first place, you ask yourself, is this a fair trial? Because according to him, when they go to court, it will be adjourned. Until the judge said, you just go back to remand whilst we work on the case before we know your stand. And then after that, from nowhere, they put him in. Then he was serving the sentence like that for another 12 years. So, but let me also correct this. I think earlier question that you asked, this thing is in our constitution. It's entrenched in our constitution. The lawyer so to say yes, this thing, 100%. Yes. But because of the 1992, he said it was 96% because it is entrenched in the 1992 constitution.
And we might need a referendum.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
We might need a referendum. For those people in the prisons, you are a human rights activist
and a journalist,
and a journalist as well. In fact, you were nominated for an award,
2023
African
Defenders Award by the Defenders Defend.
Most definitely, and these are this is an organization that looks into individual contribution to human rights activism. If somebody is in prison, right, assuming the person is arrested, being charged for a certain crime, and the person eventually gets to court, assuming he was going to be sentenced for 20 years, and he had already been on remand for, let's say, 10 years, is 10 years deducted from his sentence?
No, it is not deducted.
Is it
because
acceptable?
if this thing is deducted, the gentleman whose story I told you a while ago, probably they would have struck it out. Because once you are put on death row, at that point, you know that it is finished for you.
Wow.
Because it is still in our books. And at that point, who is going to deduct what? You are confined to death. And that is final. So that alone answers your question. There's nothing, no way, unless maybe you get a presidential pardon. But it's not that easy. Because with his story, I think he's got almost about 27 years. Because another 7 years, from 12 years, another 7 years before they say you are qualified for that pardon. So in all, if you remove the 8 years, the rest. So they haven't struck out anything. His case is just unfortunate. I think these are some of the things they should be looking at. And that is why we are always saying they should remove this thing. All these laws, 111, they should remove it. So that at least we can be at par with the global the universal agenda coalition of abolishing death penalty. And other countries have done that. Recently, Central Africa, Republic of Central Africa, Kazakhstan, Papua Guinea, and others have done that. At least for now, we have about 112 countries in the world who has struck out or abolished death penalty in both practice and law. And Ghana must also follow this to show that they value human life and it's sacred. And in order to promote human rights and also protect human rights and promote what? Justice. My name is Joseph and I stand for justice. So these are the issues that I'll be talking about. In this modern society, the death penalty globally is being taken away. They abolishing it. Why is Ghana still having it in its code, criminal code, 1960. Why are we still having it? When we have signed on to this, there should be a way to take it off. If we haven't done this, then we have failed. We have failed, and the whole world is watching us. So it is time we get back, sit down and work seriously and ensure that what you have signed to, the money that you have taken, you have accounted for it. If you know it's not good, then why did you sign for it in the first place?
If you're just joining the discussion, this is the Reporters Roundtable. We are discussing the death penalty, its continuous existence in the law books, and why we need to take it out. I've been discussing with Joseph Wemakor, Executive Director of Human Rights Reporters, Ghana. I was also joined by Ibrahim Alhassan from EIB Network. Joseph, you have been campaigning, championing. I mean, we have a law in our books that we haven't actually executed since 1993, but we still have it. There are activists like you who are campaigning that we should take it out, but it is still there. We have religious leaders, the Catholic Bishop Conference, all of those religious leaders supporting it to be expunged.
Yes.
Why do you think that it's becoming difficult for government? I mean, this has been on and on. It's so difficult for government to take it out.
To me, I think Parliament has to do something, has to move. And it still rests on their chest as we speak right now. I think the gentleman, my colleague journalist who spoke, touched briefly on all that. And you see, this is a fight that we are all joining in. And I'm glad Catholic Bishop and other movements, Amnesty International Ghana, and other organizations are supporting. And lawyers, Sosu Xavier and others, Martin Pebu, they are all on board. So I think this is a battle that we must fight, push harder, and ensure that at the end of the day, we achieve the goal, the objective for which we have started this campaign. And for 30 years, like you have heard, this thing is still trailing. It hasn't reached where, and that is where the problem lies. At this juncture, we don't even want a delay. I guess the president has spoken vividly about it, saying that something will be done. We hope that this will come to light so that at least the confidence that we repose in him as human rights activists on a global level, we can say that, oh, this is our president. So at this juncture, I would like to make call to the president to see to it that his promise towards this bill, taking it off from our criminal code, becomes a reality. And Parliament must also come on board, support this issue. I think these are the things that we should be working on, not some of the things that they are talking about recently, which are also important in a way. But this particular one is also a very critical issue that we must look at.
Do you think its continuous existence in the books are sending the wrong signal to?
Wrong, absolutely. If we are saying on the global level, 112 countries, we call them abolitionist countries right now. And even Central Africa, Republic of Central Africa have joined, Kazakhstan and others have joined in. Others still have it like Ghana, 23 countries we know, according to Amnesty International. 23 countries are still having it like this for how many? About 30 years now, or 20, yeah. But yet nothing has been done. But I believe at this stage, they're all working on it. They're all trying so hard to ensure that they take it off. And I think the role that we are playing here is in the right direction. And all hands must come on board to champion this cause and ensure that at the end of the day, we achieve our end goal. Yeah. So, yes. So this is my call to all Ghanaians. They should support this and make sure that it works. Okay.
Joseph, I'll come back to you briefly. Ibrahim is back on the line. Ibrahim, can you hear me now, please? Okay. Ibrahim, you have been up close with the prisoners. Have you encountered somebody on the death row? And if you have, explain to me the living conditions of these people.
Right. Thank you very much. I've been frequenting the condemned block of a one medium security prison. And just as you know, if somebody has been condemned to death, you understand the psychological trauma that the person is being predisposed to. So it is not easy. Conditions at the condemned block, not the best, but they are special prisoners. We call them special prisoners. Psychologically, it may not be easy for them, but I think on the whole, the fact that they know that they are not going to be executed, because since the inception of multi-party democracy in 1983, no one has been executed at a condemned block. So the rule is that you spend 20 years at a condemned block to the main prison to be life sentence. That has been the prison tradition. Now, problem is that Ghana belongs to a committee of nations that subscribes to the rule of law and then human rights. So it's sort of the existence of that law in our statute books changes our designation as a beacon of democracy and a champion of human rights. I think that is the most worrying aspect. But what is a bit interesting is that because the prisoners know that they are not going to be executed, I would say in a way that the psychological battle has been won. It's not easy. No prison is easy. But then generally, I would want to condemn the Ghana Prison Service for at least making the condemned block a bit habitable if you compare it to the other open prison cells. But this is not to say that that law should not be expunged from our constitution, looking at Ghana's designation as a champion of human rights.
We are championing human rights, so we have tried as much as possible not to execute anybody in that particular prison. But are we doing enough? Because it is still in our law books, and we know the example of Myanmar. Anything can happen. A government can just come in one day and decide that, okay, now I want to put this law to work. Do you think we will ever get to that point?
We will never get to that point. No president will ever assent to That's obnoxious law. I don't think so. Maybe after our death. But I don't think, no matter the bad human rights record of that government, would want to assent to the execution of anybody at the condemned block. Once we have accepted, you see, let's not forget that clause is an entrenched clause. It requires a referendum to have it expunged from the Constitution. So basically, it has got to do with funds for the referendum. But what we have to know is that democracy is expensive. So if we say that we don't have money to undertake a referendum, then it's a problem. So I'm sure that every government is aware of this obnoxious clause. But it has to do, that clause is not only the entrenched clause in the Constitution that requires an expansion. That requires that we expand it, let me put it that way. There are lots of clauses that need to be expanded. So it's got to do with goodwill. It's got to do with an understanding that democracy is expensive. We have to commit more resources to ensure that all these entrenched clauses are expunged from the Constitution. But I don't think that the government will come and say, no, I'm going to execute the people at the condemned block. I don't think so.
Ibrahim, so if you don't think a government can come in and decide to put it to practice, and you have also mentioned that we actually need money for a referendum, why don't we just leave it there like others are saying? At least it will serve as a deterrent to those people who might be thinking of committing similar crimes.
Right. That's a very difficult question. One, leaving it there would change Ghana's designation as a champion of human rights. Because just imagine if someone from outside wants to read about Ghana, we claim to be a champion of human rights. And then the person finds out that Ghana is a country that executes people. What impression is that going to, create? You get a point. So I don't think that is the best. We certainly need to expand it in order to maintain our untainted designation as a beacon of democracy. That is one. Now, leaving it there to serve as a deterrent to other people, I believe that even serving a life sentence is more deterrent than executing someone. It is not easy. Just imagine Atai is serving a 164 prison sentence, 164 years. He has served 16 years. He has about 147, 148 years to go. The thought of being in prison for that long is psychologically punitive. Don't forget about that. It's difficult. So much as I agree with you, the two options are not the best. We certainly have to expunge it from the Constitution. Don't forget that if the death penalty is expunged from the Constitution, the person who commits that crime still has a life prison sentence to serve. And then just imagine life sentence. The thought of it alone is sickening. So both options, it is important, I've explained the first part, that we have to take it part so that we have an unblemished reputation as a human rights champion. But at the same time, even if we take it out, people who think that, the death sentence is not there, so we can do things and go away with it, will still have problems because you are going to serve a life sentence. So that is how the picture looks like.
Thank you very much, Ibrahim, for joining in the discussion. We're joined by Ibrahim Kwarteng. He is a journalist, and he's also have a foundation that deals with the interest of prisoners and then prison issues. Joseph, you heard Ibrahim. I'll just come briefly to you. I have some viewers joining in the discussion. This one says that my learned colleague, Mr. Ibrahim, touched on the fact that it will help serve as a deterrent to those who may want to kill someone. But statistically, this bill has gone a long way to reduce the rate of death or killing in the country. We hear day in, day out of killings in our country. What has the act done so far as to contribute to reduce the killing? I will agree with Honorable Francis Sosu. Let's abolish it as other neighboring countries have done. For the wages of sin is death in the Islam. and the Christian scripture. And I think death penalty should be used from Rashid. I don't know whether you agree with that, but before I come to you, this one is Belinda, a freelance journalist. I really support the abolition of the death penalty in Ghana. It is a great move to remove it from our laws. Amnesty International has endorsement from the president, the former president, religious bodies. And I encourage the public to join in the campaign to remove the death penalty from our statutory books. Also, this one is from Knight Noble Eugene. I think he's a human rights activist also. He's saying that some individuals are of the view that who then feeds these victims when giving life imprisonment. I am also of the view that they are not they are not just human beings, but they may make meaningful contribution to the development of our country. What the state of our judicial system and its processes, fair trial and accurate judicial process cannot be credited at a percentage of 100% when checking its process. Joseph, you heard some people are more concerned about, okay, if we are not killing them and then we are committing their sentences to life imprisonment, which money do we use to now feed them? Do you think that they, like this viewer is saying, they can contribute somehow to the country's development, even though they are in there?
Yeah, once you are taken to, you are on death row.
Yeah, sure.
Once you are in prison, you are working.
Yeah.
I mean, they do other things around. Yeah.
Okay.
And I think the cost of putting them on a life imprisonment and death row, if you weigh the two, the death row one is much more expensive because day in, day out, there are appeals. Yes, there are appeals back and forth, the feeding and all that they are doing and all that. And then the cost of this firing and all that is high, much more than keeping them.
Really?
Yeah.
The firing squad?
Yeah. According to the researches, studies have shown.
Wow.
Yeah.
That when you are just killing the person, it's much more expensive?
Expensive, yeah.
How?
Yes, there are a lot of appeals that people make day in, day out, where the states will have to send their people to go and defend against the other one and all that, the movement. Yeah. That's.
You are a human rights activist. Most definitely you'll be following the progress of this particular campaign, the bills in Parliament. Now it is back to Parliament, and we have Honorable Susu championing it. In fact, he's the sponsor of the bill. Do you think that where it is now, there is hope?
Yes, because the support base that we have, the president himself, former president, Speaker of Parliament, religious body, Ghana Armed Forces Commission on Human Rights and Administrative Justice, Amnesty, a whole lot of, including our organization, Human Rights Reporters Ghana. So, per where we have reached now, at this point, there is hope.
Is there any support you are going to give to him? Because we know that as a private member's bill, he's supposed to solely sponsor this particular bill. Is there any support that the human rights groups are going to give to him?
Yes, what we have started, the campaign that we have started, is not only me. Other people are on. Currently, I learned Honorable Xavier Sosu is on Atinka. Day in, day out, you see Genevieve Pattington and others talking about it on all the media networks. So it tells you that, yes, there is a growing concern and a growing call for this to happen. And we will keep pushing in the light of all this compelling argument. We are saying that there should be an urgent need for Ghana to prioritize abolition of death penalty, because when you weigh the pros and the cons, the effects that we get is much more higher than by keeping it in our books and executing it. Thankfully, we should thank God that it has not yet been done since 1993. None of these, our president, successive government under the Fourth Republic has not signed death warrant for anyone to be killed. But keeping it over there is disastrous. And therefore, we must do everything possible so that, and we are glad that they are also supporting calls for it to happen. So let's see what happens. We'll keep pushing and expect that at the end of the day, the needful, becomes obvious. Thank you.
This is the Reporters Roundtable. We've been discussing the death penalty and the need for it to be expunged from the law books. I've been joined by Joseph Wemakor. He's the Executive Director of the Human Rights Reporters Ghana. I was also joined on the phone by Ibrahim Alasan from EIB Network and Ibrahim Kwati, who is the Executive Director of Crime Check Network. It's more expensive to keep the death penalty in the law books than removing it. These are the words of campaigners for the abolition of the death penalty. Thank you very much, Joseph, for joining in the discussion.
Pleasure.
And for you viewers, I'm so grateful you join in the discussion as well. Join us again next week from the Broadcasting House. I'm Humu Kulsum Abdullahi. Don't forget to pay your TV license. Have a blessed day.